Nikhil predicted 250 odd, Gurkirat predicted 270 odd. Bangladesh ended up scoring the average of what the two of you predicted. 265 for 8 is what they got. Nikhil, I'll start with you. Who will be the happier side right now?
I think no doubt about that. With Bangladesh being the much happier side. I think India began well and had things under control for much of the first or say the second power play. But you expected them to try a few things out, and they did. I'll still harp on the wrong pace at which the spinners have bowled, but I think it's a lost cause now. We'll only see that in the second innings, or maybe once the World Cup comes about. That why are they not bowling slow? Because I just feel there is help, and the ball did turn very often in terms of whenever they bowled at the right spot. But I felt they were just too preoccupied with looking to contain than to always take wickets at least with the left-handed batters. So there are some numbers that I'm looking at, and hopefully we'll get something to talk about from those.
Absolutely. Gurkirat, your first thoughts at the halfway mark?
Definitely, Bangladesh the happier side, given how they were reduced to 7 down under 200, and this again goes on to prove and talk about why batting depth can be important. Uh, I'm a little surprised why Shami did not bowl his quota of full overs. I understand that bowling at the death isn't his forte, but given you were trying out a few more things, you could have done that also because he's still in your squad. And if at the odd chance you feel you have to play him as the third pacer, you should really try him out in an area where he's uncomfortable so that you can see how he's going to fare. So there's that. Talking about what Nikhil was saying about spinners, Akshar's first spell was actually one where he was bowling slightly slower than what he usually does, and he got that purchase. But then again, once he was taken for runs, started bowling quicker again. I understand why Jadeja came later into the attack because they wanted to bowl Tilak and see how it goes. But yeah, uh, India should be disappointed given how much the last two wickets were able to add. Could have
We'll
easily
come.
been a 220 off chase.
Just
Yeah,
to
Nikhil.
add to one thing though, this is not batting depth. To be honest. Mehdi Hasan opens the batting at times for BPL in BPL. So the only guy who's thrown his bat around is Nasum Ahmed.
Yeah,
And he's got a few handy runs. So I don't think it's. I mean, those runs can be got by Shami as well, but I don't think it's a proper batting there because people are actually picking guys who are that sort. And this bowling attack doesn't look threatening to you because of the quality of people that are there. So while they might still end up winning this game, but on most days, not everybody is going to be convinced by the idea of playing these set of bowlers. So very keen to see if it works out in that sense because they've definitely taken the call.
that I understand. I am never on
Yeah,
board to play better batters than bowlers at 8, 9, 10, 11. Which is why I
but they
keep
have
saying
done
that
that.
India
That's what
also
I'm
play.
saying. That is
Yeah,
what I'm
today
saying. They
they
played
might.
Mehdi Hasan at number 9, which is incredible to see कि भाई number 9 पे Mehdi Hasan आ रहा है जो खुद अपने दम पे 50 मार सकता है if he plays regularly.
So, guys, sticking to Nasum Ahmed for a bit before we talk about the more broader points. This is his career best scores. Even he surpassed his highest list of first class score. So, I mean, coming back to what we discussed in the preview, did India miss a matchup bowler against left-handers? How both him and Shakib sort of dominated or milked the bowling attack?
Yeah, see, I just feel they were very defensive versus Nasum. You see, when he came in, he was happy to come down and hoik Jadeja because that is what he was bowling to him. That we are looking to contain you on middle and leg. There will be that one ball that will spin and turn, but I don't know. It's a thing that it's like a set in stone that we will not go outside of. The one ball that he tried is probably where he felt that he'd come down, but then he was slapped forward because there was nobody behind uh, cover in the ring. So I think India were just they were just hoping that things will happen, and it's been something that we've talked about in the past as well that they at times look bereft of ideas in terms of if things are not happening, what are you going to do? And again, it was Shardul Thakur only who got Shakib first. Because at that point of time, you saw nothing else working for India in terms of control as well. So you had the few missing the bat, but it wasn't consistent enough. So I think they just allowed the game to drift a bit, as Fadi said. No reason for Shami to not bowl. What are you then trying to gain out of him just
Yeah.
bowling at top and end?
Yeah, so
You know,
Nikhil spoke about Shardul Thakur. Gurpreet, I'll come to you with this. Now, once again, now Shardul was playing with two bowlers who are sort of looked at as frontline pacers, and he comfortably, I must say, you
Outboard.
outbowled both of them, right? And if not for drop catches, he would have had one more wicket. So, I mean, time and time again, Shardul has done this, Gurpreet. I mean, what do you think of him now? What do you see of Shardul just as a bowler and not only as someone who can also add runs at the fag end?
someone who's been improving constantly. I mean, gone are the days where you could, gone are the days where you would, say that Shardul is very unreliable, or, to use Nikhil's phrase, is Jai Mata the kind of a player. Now he's becoming very reliable in terms of getting you those wickets. Today, yes, he got hit for a slightly few runs which he wouldn't have wanted, but overall that's not been the case with him. He's also been economical when India have needed him to be. And his figures from 2022 till now actually prove that. So I've been saying that India are not only preferring Shardul at number 8 just because of his batting, but also because he's been able to get consistent wickets in the middle overs. See, his overall career strike rate and average is below 30. You must be doing something right day in and day out to do that. And today also, I tweeted something and then Nikhil added that, and which was a very good point. Shardul gets a lot of wickets which are played on by the batters, and today, yes, you could say that maybe it could have been due to the pitch, because the pitch was slightly on the slower side, a little tacky, but he's able to do that even on true pitches because of the scramble seam he bowls and how he doesn't really give a lot of width. So there are a lot of things that he's doing right, which is why he's getting those chances. And I mean, I don't remember the last time he had such a bad game that you felt like, oh, today's
Yeah.
nothing has happened to him. So
Mm,
he's been able to
mm,
do that, and he's been doing that quite consistently.
Yeah. So coming back to the, I mean, I must say the highlight of the innings, that partnership, the century partnership between Shakib and Nikhil's budding favorite, with Hridoy. Nikhil, what was so impressive about that partnership?
See the control, the way and the ease. We talked about the same with Sadir and Kusal, last night, about how easy it looked for them, and that's what I felt even with Shakib. I think Shakib was very very clear with his batting plan today, where you could see him being very defensive on wherever he on length that he found that okay, this could be troublesome. He was happy to dead bat them, but whenever it's full enough or wide enough, he was happy to just go through the line and was able to find the gap with such ease. He also went after Jadeja, again similar angle. Will only bowl on the pads, will not do something else, and he was hit for 3 sixes. So I think with Shakib, you come to expect of it, but it was good for him to get a score finally, because he hadn't been getting the score because of the Pathirana angle troubling him so much. So he was there, and of course, feels very personal when Tawfiq Hridoy does well, because there are some players who you feel that wow, finally they will come good. And I think it's again, I think the experience also helped, and the fact that he had Shakib at the other end, just the situation did not warrant them to try something else. And maybe that just calmed him down. Then take your time, give yourself some time. And the pitch, despite its the demons in it, it was you could survive. And then there were enough balls for them to make the most of. Again, I'll keep looking at numbers that I can find for the pace at which spinners have both, because I think they both used the pace from spinners really well whenever they wanted to. So something that I'm looking at from how Nasum and Shakib bowl in the second innings, because I do feel the pitch should get better to bat on from what we saw yesterday as well. But if it doesn't, then we should have a great chase.
Hmm. So good points there. So Gurpreet, I just want to throw in a stat here before we dive deeper into this topic. Now, Shakib against slow left armers hit at a strike rate of 130, whereas Hridoy hit Tilak Varma at a strike rate of 133. So overall, do you think this again presents the case that why a proper balance of left-handed, right-handedness in your batting lineup is always good for a team.
It's always good, uh, regardless of what happened today or what did not. Even if if it did not happen, because one match cannot be the case for it. My idea is that instead of looking for only a left-hander, look for a batter who's capable against the other kind of spin, so that you have a partnership where batters can complement
Hmm.
each other. Now,
Hmm.
uh, if there are two right-handers batting and one of them is Surya Kumar Yadav, then you're not really concerned about how leg spin will be handled, because
Hmm.
he has a inside-out shot over covers, and he also has a very good sweep. Similarly, we saw
But
in the last
slow
game that
left
India
arm will
played.
still be a concern.
Yeah, that's what I was coming to.
Yeah.
Similarly, in that last game that India played versus Sri Lanka, we saw KL Rahul far more comfortable against slow left arm orthodox than Ishan Kishan. So
Hmm.
you always should be building a team that allows you to have batters of complement skills, so that the opposition cannot just pick one line of attack and try and choke you down, or tie down the runs. The secondary part of them being left-handed or right-handed, I think, comes later, because sometimes, despite being a batter of opposite hands, you're not able to complement each other. A very good example of this was again in the 2021 IPL. It's a different format, but both Rutu and Faf were right-handers, but different strengths, and they were
Hmm.
very successful as a pair. So
Hmm.
that is always important.
Hmm. So, Gurkya, when we were doing the pre-match talk, you spoke about Axar Patel and how he needs figures of at least 40 for two to be, to have a good game. But after watching him bowl in this game, what do you think? I mean, has he done himself a favor, or has he let himself down a little bit again with the ball?
Would have definitely liked to do better, because at one point of time his figures were 6 overs 1 for 19, and
Hmm.
from there on he's finished with 9 overs 1 for 47. So essentially 1 for 47 in 9 overs in a 265 game. You would say at best it is a par spell. It's not something which is very good. It's not something which is very bad. So yeah, he would have definitely liked to do better.
Hmm. Nikhil, your thoughts on Tilak Varma's bowling, because you were looking forward to it.
I think he started decently, and he was able to keep both of them very honest. But uh, see, my problem with all these experiments is they are at times done half-heartedly. That they get hit, and then you don't see them again. So that's where I felt that then you are not challenging them at all, because you expect the right-hander to take on the off-spinner. That is the designated matchup to take on. So the moment Tawid went after Tilak, you felt that okay, now let's see what does Tilak comes up with next. But you didn't see him back again. So there is no way to make a comment on it, because you don't know what he'll try if he gets hit. So I think
Hmm.
in that sense, it's like a half-hearted experiment which you did, but you did not get anything out of it. And yeah, the catch of Shakib,
Yeah.
definitely, I don't think it was a easier or a chance that you'd say that you'd want Rahul to take, but because it bounced a bit, it bore, and of course it hit Rahul on the chest. So had he gotten that, maybe he would have gotten a few more overs. But you just want to see a bit more uh, openness in terms of okay, let's try,
Hmm.
let's see what more do we get out of him, and if he gets hit, do we have an option? Because like the numbers that we talked about for Axar Patel as well, he has an average of what 175 versus left-handed batters. So that is crazy for somebody who you want to see that he had decent numbers in the IPL just a season back. That he wasn't going for a lot of runs, but the situations or the usage has been such there, as we can see on the screen,
Yeah,
that
so
it's not a
this
great
is
sample space.
this is the number
Yeah.
of Indian bowlers against left-handed batters since the last World Cup.
Yeah, and so you see, while there is a massive amount of difference in terms of overs bowled, so there isn't a lot of sample space there. But in all of that, he still has taken only one wicket, which I feel for somebody like him, he'll feel that he should do better.
Hmm.
Where he's going wrong is something that I cannot find a way that why is it that he's struggling so much at this point of time, because average of 185. Economy rate is also definitely on the higher side. So you
Hmm.
feel that uh, probably running out of time because I'm sure he will be playing a lot of games when the surface is slowed down. But like we talked about in the preview, if he's not getting wickets, that batting depth is not going to help. You might as well just play an extra batter in that sense. So I
Yeah.
think wickets will be very, very critical. I'm hoping he gets more Australia games now because you need Axar Patel firing. Without that, it's not going to be easy.
Gurkha, do you think India
And
can afford to rest Jadeja for the Australia series and play Axar? Just to make Axar game ready, or I don't know, just to actually challenge themselves to see if Axar actually deserves the spot in the squad itself.
if Jadeja is able to score runs in the next two games, that decision will become far more easier.
Mm.
If Jadeja scores runs today and in the final, then they can. And adding on to what Nikhil was saying, if Akshar plays, he will probably be playing, or most likely be playing at the expense of Shardul. Now Shardul is picking wickets.
Mm.
Shardul is picking important and key wickets, so that decision becomes tougher. But yes, your to answer your question, Jadeja scoring runs today
Yeah.
and day after will allow India to take that call.
Yeah, actually, my
I
question is essentially for that. I mean, in the World Cup, I don't foresee Axar playing ahead of Jadeja. The point is,
of course,
we
yeah,
are not sure if Axar is even ready to take the Shardul spot whenever the situation arises based on
exactly.
the wicket. Because even if it's a slow wicket, we know Shardul has variations to sort of make a difference even on those slow tracks. So, I mean,
Yeah.
might as well India add one more batter.
Yeah, because and at first I hope Jadeja is not required today because if that is the case, it's not going to be easy for India to chase this down. Uh, so, which is why I think, which is why I was a bit skeptical of giving Tilak a game here because he didn't take wickets. But if he has a great game now, with the bat, suddenly you just have questions that you did not need. Of course, it may not mean anything to the management who would have been very sure of their preferred 11. But I just think you needed you need to give that confidence to Axar Patel. At this point of time, he needs it far more. And as Padi said, you cannot now drop Shardul for Axar. I don't think it is even it comes close to being a straight swap. So who else now do you look at to play the third spinner? There is no room there.
Mm. Coming back to Jadeja, Gurkirat, so today he became the second Indian ever to do the double of 200 ODI wickets
Yeah.
and 2,000 runs. Do you think he's the last of his kind? I mean, will we ever see someone
Yeah.
doing the double ever again
Yeah,
in
yeah.
ODIs?
Yes, yes.
If ODIs continue, then yes.
Yes,
That is,
obviously.
if ODIs continue, then yes, it's possible.
नहीं वो तो obvious है, but what does your gut feeling say?
But if ODIs don't continue, then you don't know. This stat is a good reflection. See, my gut feeling is that even if other countries don't play ODIs enough, India will keep playing ODIs because ODIs allow a lot of ad spots,
Hmm.
which T20s don't. So ODIs allow that ad spots, and of course, then you can argue that Test matches also have those ad spots, but hosting a Test match is far more difficult than hosting an ODI. So I feel even if ODIs in general go down in terms of the number that happens, but I feel India will still keep playing ODIs. But this stat and this figure is a good testimony of Jadeja's longevity.
Hmm.
He started playing ODIs, I think, in 2009. 2009 Australia series, I remember him playing. Had a couple of good innings in that ODI series. In Guwahati, he had his 150, had that 50, which was right next after the game in Hyderabad, where he, copped a lot of criticism for that run out. But yeah, this is a good testimony of his longevity. 15 years in top flight cricket isn't easy,
Hmm.
and he's played for the better part of that career. He's played all three formats,
Yeah.
which makes it
So,
even more difficult.
I mean, as harsh a critic as I am of ODI cricket and its relevance, something that I want to add from personal experience, I think somehow watching the game from the stadium, ODI offer the best value for money. The T20 just finishes very soon. Test cricket, I mean, it is a very hard grind to sort of, if you are not working in cricket, it is very difficult for you to spend 7 hours for 5 days. So you might miss out on the big important days. Whereas ODIs give you that all the flavor in one go, especially if you go and watch from the
Correct.
stadium. So even from that regard, ODI still add value. Uh, yeah, what did I have to talk about? Yeah, there is one very important stat that I want to throw to both of you. Now, this is since 2022, and I'm only talking about ODIs. Now, when Indian bowlers have come against batters from number 8 to 10, or basically the wickets 8, 9, 10, the tail enders, Indian bowlers have conceded 30 plus runs to the last three batters 18 times in this period. The next best is just 7 times. Also, of course, it is due to India playing more number of ODIs as well. But do you feel this is a cause for concern, or this is just because Bumrah has not featured for India often?
It's a very heavy and loaded question to answer because this has been an age-old problem. This is not something new. The tail has find ways to wag against India. Uh, I'm not sure even if Bumrah is not there that is a good enough excuse because
Yeah.
if you are getting the top seven, top eight, top seven out in a reasonable amount of time and reasonable amount of runs, you should be skillful enough to get the lower order out. I think this point correlates to what we had discussed in one of our shows earlier about the lengths that are bowled to
Yeah.
the last three or four batters that
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
the going short. I think this is probably more lack of planning, and then it comes down to also not not having a great luck because today some of the shots that Nasum Ahmed played could have easily gone to hand, couple of top edges, etc., etc. But the sample space, 18 times, you cannot say it's just on the
Yeah.
basis of luck.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think it
yeah.
correlates to what we had discussed. I think a week or 10 days ago earlier, where we had that graphic where percentage of lengths that were bowling and only 8% were Yorkers or full tosses, and they were going away from good length and banging in short. And going short isn't necessarily the strength of a few of our bowlers unless it's a Siraj or Bumrah. So probably it's down to the bowling plans and not figuring out which is the length that works best for and each and every individual bowler. Because some
Mm,
of the bowlers that we have, say like Shardul, if you ask Shardul to consistently try and bowl that Yorker or the fuller length or the short delivery, then his chances of succeeding aren't that much. But if you ask him to bowl a cross seam in the 4 to 6 meter length, then the chances of him succeeding is far more.
Okay.
So
mm.
it's a number of factors, I feel.
And also
Yeah,
just to add, the number 8 bit, last five ODIs for Bangladesh batters at number 8 versus India, you have a 51 not out, you have a 38 not out, you have a 100, you have
yeah.
a 3, and you have a 44. So there are four scores over 35 here for a
Mm,
number 8 batter against India in ODI. So as Pani said, I don't think India have given it enough thought. I'm sure they would have. It's not that they haven't planned for it, but I don't think they've executed it as well as they would have liked. And I sometimes feel India are just too stuck with their plan A or B. You don't see. I mean, I don't remember the last time we've seen an Indian right arm bowler going round the wicket and trying to bowl wide Yorkers or looking to cram people for room. I think we at times are just too stuck to our ये हमारा strength है, but then we are not trying to evolve in terms of more options that you want to have as an endeavor. And I don't think you can continue to do that in the World Cup. You have Bumrah and Kuldeep, but there will be days when they will also get hit. At this point of time, you don't have anybody else to rely on. So I think it is something that I'm sure many teams will be looking at because
mm.
if you look at the side, do you think Jadeja you can attack? Uh, Siraj can have off days. So eventually it is going to come down, as Sanjay says, to these two.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can't always just rely on
Mm,
two people.
absolutely. Yeah,
Another thing,
yeah, Gurkha, go ahead.
yeah, to add on to what Nikhil was saying, I was just checking out the at what times has Shami bowled. Now he had a 4 over initial burst, then he bowled three in the last 10, and in between hardly bowled anything in the middle overs. Probably the idea from the beginning was that Shami will bowl five up front and then five in the end. But we've discussed this countless times that bowl in limited overs, bowling even a 3 over spell consistently, if you're bowling in T20s, it allows batters to line you up. And again, with if Shami is going to be your third pacer, in games that he plays. He will be again replacing Shardul. Now, try him in that period where you will bowl Shardul. Bowl him in the middle overs. See, can he bowl that? Can he be that middle overs enforcer by bowling those hard lengths? That wasn't tried out. So this has not been a case of today. In by and large, this has been a feature of Rohit Sharma's captaincy, that if the plan A and plan B doesn't work, the reluctance to shift from that plan is very little, and this is format agnostic. You can see this in test matches, you can see it in T20s, you can see it in ODIs.
Hmm. Yeah, before we get the parting thoughts from you guys, I just want to take one comment and thanks everyone who's sort of joined us, listened in, and have given us your thoughts. And please do like this stream. Nikhil Baijus has asked that should India have given the new ball to President Shardul in the middle overs? This is something that they do when they're playing their best pace attack. So Nikhil, do you think there was some thought process behind this? Because I have my theory. I just want to hear yours.
See, we've seen in the past that Prasid hasn't always been your most reliable power play bowler. And of course, there will be a Rust and Roll fans who will have a say there, which is fine. But I felt in terms of control that Shardul is offered there, he's gotten better, and you saw that even today that there weren't too many bad balls as such, which is again a testimony that a lot of success that Shardul gets is attributed to luck. That if he doesn't know, but even James Anderson says that, that I don't know what. Broad says that I don't know how will the ball seam if I just hold it wobble seam or if I go scramble seam. So sometimes we just attribute to that, but his, as Paddy said, he's ever evolving and he doesn't leave that chance. So which is why I was honestly surprised. I expected maybe them to give Prasid the new ball to see what he offers, and I expected Shardul to bowl in the later half, but I think they wanted to ease Prasid in because he's playing an ODI after a long time. So maybe they did not want to rush him in there and just look at him through the middle overs. So yeah, I do feel India did not bowl enough short at times as well, but I think for a larger period of time they were under control, so they did not feel the need to change it.
Okay, so with that, we've come to that part of the show where I'll just ask your predictions, guys. So I'm just looking for one-word answers. How do you see the second innings pan out? Easy win for India, difficult win for India, difficult win for Bangladesh, or easy win for Bangladesh? I'll start with Gurkira.
I'd say a challenging win for India, and I really hope to see Sky scoring some runs. I'd really want him to score runs. Uh, yeah, that's my wish.
Yeah. Meanwhile, guys, you also can let us know in the comments what you feel of the four, how it's going to happen in the second innings. Nikhil?
Yeah, same. एक दिन में एक बार तो होना चाहिए कि my answer is same, no difference. So slightly challenging win for India, but 50s for Surya and Tilak because they'll bat at 3 and 4. So just gives them confidence. India gets something out of the game with the bat, and because we know Sky is likely to feature if Shreyas doesn't get fit, so you need runs for him. So hopefully that happens.
Just so I'm a point of difference here out of the two. I'll just pick for an easy win for India. I know you guys must have thought I'll pick Bangladesh, but
of course.
I'm gonna pick an easy win for India. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for taking time out to join us here. And again, thanks everyone for chipping in, contributing to comments. Please like this stream and subscribe to our channel if you've not done so already. We'll be here as soon as the last ball is bowled. Hopefully it's an India win and India go unscathed to the final. So see you in what, 3 hours? Around 3 hours.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Cheers.